Good evening. This is Peter Resnick from ShadowTrader.net and the Weekly Options Room. And I just wanted to go over some levels in the market, given that we kind of are where we are, kind of caught in the throes of this downward move that's been going on about a month, I guess. It's a weekly chart of the S&P cash market. You can see after we topped here, obviously this is down. And I just wanted to start on this chart just to show this trend line coming in from about mid-April to here, and this is where I think ultimately the S&P wants to go, which would put us right around this kind of like 5,500 level, which is kind of a big round number. But we'll see. We'll see if we go there or not, but that's kind of the trajectory. But what I really wanted to focus on in this video is I wanted to talk about the ES. Obviously, futures trade 24 hours, so they're a little bit of a different animal. But a lot of the bigger moves that can be made, it happens overnight, right? In the futures, and there's definitely opportunity to be had if you can get ahead of it. And to that end, I just wanted to point out something that I was looking at today. If you look at the hourly chart, I think a lot of people would agree that this has been a very difficult market to navigate. I mean, it's been lucrative, I think, in the day time frame. There's certainly been plenty to do in that sense, but anything larger than the day time frame becomes very, very difficult to deal with. And the reason for that is because of the constant, as I call them, 100% retracement. So you can see it here on the hourly chart, right, of the futures, right? It's like down and then straight up, right? And then, or vice versa and whatever. And so today, as I'm speaking to you, which is Wednesday, the 12th, I know you're seeing this on Thursday morning on the 13th, but on Wednesday, the 12th, we had another one of these reversals. And something interesting happened today in that this here, this little spike up here, that was the CPI print, which came in really benign, right? It kind of showed us that inflation was ticking down. And I kind of would have thought that would have really spurred a bit more buying than it did, but it really didn't do much of anything because it, came all the way back, retraced the whole thing. And you came down to this area where the ES has been supporting in the 5550 area and then ripped all the way back up. So my focus now going forward is basically on this box, and this is why I've drawn it here. And this is what we call a balance area, right? A balance area is very simply an area that is defined by equal highs and equal lows. It kind of goes across like this, and it goes like this. And so this is a pretty classic balance area. And as we know, what balance areas do is they create pressure, and that pressure then gets let out on either side. So it's either going to be a retest here and go, or it's going to retest here and go. And interestingly enough, you've got about the same number of resistances, right? This was here 1, this one's a little lower, but I still call it 2. This is 3, right? And look at these, it's 1, 2, 3. So both areas have been tested 3 times. So the question is now just which one is it going to be? And you don't need to guess that in advance. What you want to be doing is be more reactive as opposed to predictive. And you could have a buy stop here and you could have a sell stop here, basically. More than likely, if it hits that low point, you're going to see that trend line that I talked about in the S&P. And if it hits that high point, there's no really knowing how far it's going to go, but you're going to look at the usual signposts, right? You're going to maybe flip to a daily chart and you're going to say to yourself, okay, where's the 8 EMA, right? Like we haven't touched the 8 EMA in a while. Could the market get up to the 8, right? Will there be enough short covering over here that maybe takes us to this level? I don't know. Eventually, obviously, the 21 will play catch up, but that's a long way away. So that's the way you want to kind of be thinking about it, I think, in this market. Don't get too, get yourself all contorted, so to speak, about, the tariffs are on, the tariffs are off. And I understand that there's a whole lot of news flow as of now, and a lot of it is kind of contradictory all the time, and a lot of that is what's fueling a lot of this choppy action. But just keep it simple, right? Know where the highs and lows are, and know what defines trend and what defines a change in trend, and by the same token, what defines like a change in tone, right? Because right now, what the futures market is actually thinking, and this is very status quo, right? It's obviously status quo because it's in this 100-point range. That's 55.50 and that's 56.50. So very simply ask yourself, what disturbs the status quo, right? I mean, we've already been up here 3 times, we've been down here 3 times, so obviously there should be a larger break at that point. All right, and remember, this is the last thing I'll say is, in the context of what we call balance rules, all right, this is super important, there is always the concept of look above and fail or look below and fail. And that's really important because it can be very powerful. So that means that if you come up here and you come back down and you come back into range, that's called a look above and fail. And what that does is it usually translates into a move to retest the opposing end of balance. And the same thing can happen on the other side. If you do this, you look below and fail, and then soon after, this has to kind of happen on the same day or within one day, you trade back to 55.50. Now you've got rotational potential back to the other end of range, and that's pretty effective. This happens pretty much over and over, and that's why these balance rules are a thing, because this is basically what markets do. All right, so keep that in mind. All right, that is all. Be safe out there, and I will see you on the weekend edition, I guess, this weekend. All right, take care. Hey, this is Peter from ShadowTrader.net, and I just wanted to thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you'd like to trade live with me every day in my weekly options advisory, then check out the link in the description below. I wish you good trading, and I'll see you in the room.